Hello, everybody. I got a good show for you today. Yeah. I just wanted to do a little Hodge Twins impersonation there. Yeah. Anyway, um, I got a lot going on my mind. Um, had a good sermon yesterday. Jason talking about prayer and the significance of it, what and how it can also show what we believe about God or how we believe in God. So I thought that was really interesting, but not what I'm going to talk about. What I want to talk about today is, I think, very important. I watch certain people, independent reporters that talk about, certain issues going on, political issues, things like that. And one of them talked about Breonna Taylor and her family getting $12 million. And, he voiced that he didn't really like that. And he's an ex-cop, so I get it, I understand it. Because really, the point that he was trying to make was that they're really doing it because all these people are claiming it was social injustice, it was racism, they just wanted to storm in and kill her. When, excuse me, when the facts just don't actually support that. The facts support that the cops did their due diligence. And in fact, her boyfriend at that time admitted that he shot first. He straight up admitted it. So right there is your first problem. He admitted that he shot the police first, and he did it in her apartment. And that's where the real problem lies. And this is where I'm going to bring up why I disagree with that gentleman who was upset with Breonna Taylor's family getting $12 million. Her boyfriend shot the police first. And because it was her apartment, of course she was there, and unfortunately she caught the bullets. What's sad is how her boyfriend didn't. He shot at the cops. He shot a cop. And the evidence in the case showed that. However, I don't believe this was a case of social injustice, systemic racism. It wasn't. If you look into the facts, it had nothing to do with racism. But her death was wrong. But let's look at why. Why was her death wrong? Well, it wasn't because the cops were just mean and just wanted to kill some black folk. I'm sorry, the evidence just doesn't support that. If the evidence did, I'd agree. I don't want to side one way or the other. I want to side with the truth. But this is why it was wrong. Her boyfriend shot first, and she was there. If he had not shot, she more than likely would have been arrested, and then there would have been some more investigation, and she probably, who knows, there's a big report out there. If you want that report, go to Tatum Report. I hope he does not mind me plugging that in for him. But Tatum Report has a whole bunch of stuff. That's why I like him. But they had been compiling evidence for her or against her for a few years. And more than likely, that's why they were trying to arrest her, was to even dig deeper. Would she have been charged with it? I have no idea. And now we won't ever know. But again, the reason her death was wrong, and the reason I believe her family deserved to get paid, was because her boyfriend shot first, and she was in the crossfire. She was unarmed. She didn't shoot at the police. But because her boyfriend did, she was caught in the crossfire, and it cost her life. It's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. And I think as Christians, if we don't feel that way, that we're lacking a little bit of compassion. Not fully, just a little bit. Because we have to be understanding that more than likely, and yes, I know it's an if scenario, but more than likely, she would have been okay had her boyfriend not shot at the police. So that's why I think she deserved to get paid. Because essentially, she was in the right place, but at the wrong time. I almost would say, well, isn't it supposed to be the wrong place, wrong time? Not in this case. It was her place. It was her apartment. And just an unfortunate thing happened. So I have no problem with the money going to her family. None. And I hope most of you feel that way. As far as the trial and the way it went about, I hope you also feel the same way. The facts were presented, and from those facts, they made a determination that this was not unlawful. Yet they still got a cop for shooting excessively. And to be honest, I honestly don't know how often or how many bullets a cop should release a bullet. I get that 10 sounds excessive, but in the heat of a moment and your adrenaline's going and you just saw a partner get shot, you're probably gonna unload your clip or close to it. Especially if you can't see anything and you're just trying to hit the target any way you can. I'm not trying to justify anything here. I'm just trying to say I cannot actually tell you what is right, what is wrong. I can't. It's not my place. I don't have that right. So anyway, I don't have a problem with the ruling because they went with the facts. And any media, anyone else saying no, that's not the fact, this was still racial injustice, there needs to be something that happened. There was a civil suit. Plain and you're not going to win. Because they had a no-knock warrant and they still knocked and announced. Now, I watched the Hodge twins, they talked about that, and they were like, man, I don't know who to trust. And here's what I'm going to say. Well, I trust the court findings. Believe it or not, they have investigators too, and they do their due diligence to try to make sure these facts are presented correctly. Does it always work out? Does every sentence end up being right? Probably not. But we're imperfect. We're all imperfect. That includes even those that work and in our political systems and our judiciary systems. That's why it's also supposed to be peers that are in the jury to help also determine certain convictions. That way there's an unbiased opinion and you're listening to both sides of the story. You're trying to figure, and in your head you're going to determine if what you're hearing is legit, the truth. So where they might be not perfect, I agree with the hearing. I agree with the end result of the case. And I'm not confused. I am not like who's telling the truth. I get that Kenneth, because I think his name is Kenneth. I don't want to get his name wrong. But the boyfriend that shot at the cop. Now, granted, he says he didn't know it was a cop. But now he's also wanting retribution or something. I forget what, but he's wanting to do it through because now he's trying to claim it was their fault he shot or something like that. I don't want to get the facts wrong. You can look it up yourself. The story's out there. He's countersuing or something. Anyway, I'm not saying that he deserves jail time or, because if he's being honest and he honestly did think that those police, even though they announced, it was still, because look, here's a fact. Even though the police announced who they were, she lived in a bad neighborhood. Her ex came over quite a few times. Her current boyfriend more than likely knew that. So who's to say that he wouldn't try and bombard her place and try and claim that they're the cops? You know, so he may not be lying. And I'm not going to say he is because I don't know. Not like I got a polygraph and I'm sitting down with him and be like, hey, I want to know the truth here. But he may not be lying. He may have actually thought it was her ex. And that's why he shot. You know, should he have some repercussions? I think he should be not allowed to have a gun for a while. But he wasn't necessarily reckless with it either. He made a bad choice. Because to be honest, even if it was her ex-boyfriend, just wait, dude. Wait until they get into the house. Wait and see. Then start shooting if it looks bad. I know personally me, if I had to deal with that, my first instinct is, yeah, I'm gonna grab a gun. But I ain't gonna fire it until I know it's necessary. Because I also hope at the end of the day I would never have to discharge it. But to me, that's just common sense. Just if he had been a little bit smarter and just waited, he would have been able to figure out that it was actual cops, and they weren't there for him, so he would have been left alone anyway. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if they would have subdued him, just to make sure, like, you know, she couldn't get away, or I wouldn't doubt that, but he would have been let go. All he had to do was use his head. And I get it. If you're nervous, if you're anxious, you're afraid, you're not always thinking rationally. So I understand it. For him, I get it. But still, in that moment, if he had just been a little bit more if he would have just been a little bit more smart at that moment, everything probably would have been okay. And I said probably because we really don't know. But I do know from watching certain reports, there were 4 raids on Breonna's ex-boyfriend's drug houses or whatever they're called. 4. And no one got hurt at those. Or at least it's not getting reported that anyone got hurt yet. But anyway, that's my thoughts. I think as Christians, again, we shouldn't be all disheartened about her getting money. And I think as Republicans or conservatives, you also should not be. Yeah, she wasn't necessarily innocent, but she didn't, you know, ask for that. She didn't do anything to have that happen. She lost her life for a, a stupid little mistake. But at the same time, I agree with the court hearing. I'm okay with the money, and I'm good with the court hearing decision. And I think if we're a little bit more calm, we think a little bit more rational, we can get there. Kind of come to that conclusion. I'm not saying you have to agree, and I'm okay if you don't. But that's my thoughts on it. All right? God bless. I hope you enjoy, and I'm always thankful for all you that do watch this.